Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding. You know, we tend to think of sleep as just a habit, right? Something we can control with a little discipline. But what if I told you that the very core of your sleep, when you get tired, how long you need to rest, even how you react to coffee, is as unique to you as your fingerprint? Well, today, we're diving into the incredible science that shows how our sleep is literally written in our DNA. So, let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself a million times. Are you a morning lark? You know, the type of person who just springs out of bed ready to take on the day? Or are you a total night owl, doing your best work when pretty much everyone else is fast asleep? And you might just chalk that up to your job or your daily routine, but the real answer goes way, way deeper. Your preference for the morning or the evening isn't just a choice. It's a fundamental biological trait programmed right into your genetic code. Okay, get ready for this, because this number is absolutely mind-blowing. Studies on twins have shown that your sleep EEG, that's the unique electrical signature of your brain while you're sleeping, is about 96% heritable. Just let that sink in. This makes it one of the most genetically determined traits we have. It's not just an influence, it's practically a biological blueprint. So how in the world does this genetic blueprint actually work? Well, it all starts with what we can call your genetic master clock. This is the amazing internal machinery that's constantly running inside you, controlling your sense of time. Deep inside almost every single cell in your body, there's this incredible network of what scientists call clock genes. We're talking about genes with names like PER and, you guessed it, clock. These guys all work together to create this super precise, roughly 24-hour rhythm. This is your body's central oscillator, the conductor of your entire daily biological orchestra. And what's really amazing is just how elegant this system is. It's a simple feedback loop. In the morning, your clock genes flip on, and they start making proteins. As the day goes on, these proteins build up and up and up. And then once they hit a certain level, they literally act as a switch, turning off the very genes that made them in the first place. That causes the protein levels to drop, which lets the genes turn back on the next day, and the whole cycle starts all over again. And that feedback loop, that's exactly where morning larks and night owls come from. It turns out a tiny little variation in just one of those clock genes, PER3, can change the speed of that entire cycle. If you've got a longer version of this gene, you tend to be a morning lark, with your internal clock running just a little bit faster. But if you have the shorter version, you're the classic night owl, whose internal clock just ticks a little bit slower. But okay, it's not just about when you sleep. Your genes are also calling the shots on how much sleep you need and even the quality of that sleep. Now, this is a really cool real-world example. Researchers actually found a family where people naturally just felt great on only 6 hours of sleep a night, way less than the average person. So they dug in, and they traced it to a single mutation in a gene called BHLEH41. It just goes to show you that how much sleep you need isn't about being lazy or ambitious. It can be a totally fixed biological trait. And this brings us right back to the sleep EEG. Remember that crazy 96% number? Well, the pattern of your brainwaves, the peaks and valleys of deep sleep, light sleep, and REM, is so stable and so unique to you that it's often called a fingerprint. Your nightly brain activity is a deeply personal, genetically defined signature. So as you can see, there's no single sleep gene. It's much more like a committee. You've got the PER3 gene acting as the timekeeper, deciding if you're a morning person. Then you have BHLHE41 acting like a fuel gauge, determining how long you need to sleep. And then other genes, like ADA, are in charge of quality control, how deep and restorative that sleep actually is. They're all working together to create your unique sleep profile. All right, now let's talk about how this genetic blueprint of yours interacts with something most of us use every single day: caffeine. Have you ever wondered about this? I mean, you have one espresso after lunch and you are staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, but your friend can have a double shot right after dinner and sleeps like a log? What is the deal with that? Well, the answer starts with a chemical called adenosine. Think of it like a little sleepiness tracker in your brain. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine builds up. This buildup is what creates sleep pressure, that growing, undeniable feeling that you really need to get some rest. So here's where caffeine comes in. It's basically a master of disguise. On a molecular level, it looks a whole lot like adenosine. So when you drink a cup of coffee, the caffeine molecules race to your brain and they literally plug up the adenosine receptors, blocking the real adenosine from getting in. This effectively hits the mute button on the you need sleep signal, which is why you feel so alert and awake. And here is the genetic secret. A gene called ADORA2A is what builds those adenosine receptors in the first place. And different versions of this gene create slightly different shaped receptors. If you have the high sensitivity version, caffeine binds to your receptors really, really well, giving you a huge jolt and messing with your sleep for hours. But if you have the low sensitivity version, caffeine just doesn't bind as tightly, and you might barely even feel its effects. So what does this all mean for the future? Where is all of this research going? Well, it's paving the way for a whole new era of personalized health. This emerging field has a fancy name, sleep pharmacogenetics. But just imagine a future where, based on your DNA, a doctor could tell you exactly which sleep aid will work best for you with the fewest side effects, or where companies could help shift workers build schedules that actually work with their natural body clock. Even simple advice like what time of day you should stop drinking coffee could be perfectly tailored to your unique biology. Now, we have to be clear, the science here is still pretty young. A lot of these genetic connections need more research before they're ready for prime time. But every single discovery is another step toward a world where we don't just follow generic sleep advice, but instead we work with our own biological code to get the best rest possible. So we'll leave you with this thought. Your sleep isn't just something you do every night. It's a fundamental part of your biological identity. If you could get your hands on your own personal sleep blueprint, what would be the very first thing you'd want to find out? Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.